Oh, so y'all thought Joker was gonna be political? That's cute. Hello everybody, welcome back to Meddling in Antiquity. My name is Teray, and today we're going to be talking about the Dixie Chicks. But not just the Dixie Chicks, specifically their album Taken the Long Way and the song Not Ready to Make Nice. Before I get into breaking down specifically the song Not Ready to Make Nice, I want to talk about the controversy that sparked the song in the first place. So, a little bit of information about the band. The Dixie Chicks is made up of three women, Natalie Maines, and then sisters, Marty Irwin McGuire and Emily Strayer. So they're formed out of Dallas, Texas, and are a kind of mix of Americana folk, country, and all of the really fun things that involve a guitar and a fiddle and anything like that. The most interesting thing about the Dixie Chicks, though, is that in regards to considering what country music was at the time of the band really kind of at the height of their popularity, they were a very liberal version of country music. Because the Dixie Chicks, the height of the Dixie Chicks popularity was around the Bush era. So, you can kind of imagine exactly what country music was like. It was very uber patriotic, bordering on the point of nationalistic. Nobody likes that. Though if you do want more information about that, I will be linking Lindsay Ellis's video about protest music of the Bush era, both in a card up here and then in the description below. However, the Dixie Chicks were very much outspoken in regards to them being far more liberal than most of their country music counterparts at the time. But the incident that really pushed them out of the spotlight and kind of has still affected their career as a band to this day was March 10th, 2003. On that day, the Dixie Chicks were performing, and Natalie Maines, the lead singer of the Dixie Chicks, criticized President George W. Bush as she was very anti-war, and openly stated that she is ashamed that the President of the United States was from Texas. Obviously, that didn't go over super well with country music and Republicans in general. So Maines was made to apologize. However, by that point, she'd already received hundreds of death threats, including one that is very particularly referenced in the song Not Ready to Make Nice. So she did, the apology was, I guess, accepted. However, she did eventually retract the apology because she felt that she didn't have to apologize, which she didn't. She shouldn't have had to, and she should not have gotten death threats for speaking her opinion on what was essentially an act of a war crime. All presidents are war criminals. Presidents do president shit. Anyway, eventually, one particular threat that she got led to probably one of my favorite portions of the song Not Ready to Make Nice, which is from their album Taken the Long Way, which was released in 2006, 3 years after that particular incident. Now that I've covered everything that leads up to it, let's get into the song itself. Now, I was raised a Dixie Chicks fan. I was raised by a Dixie Chicks fan. I grew up listening to the Dixie Chicks, most of their stuff. I mean, my first exposure to Fleetwood Mac was through the Dixie Chicks cover of Landslide. Travelin' Soldier has always been one of my favorite songs, Goodbye Earl being a close second. But Not Ready to Make Nice is a song that I often have covered. It's a good song, and there's something about the message in it and the chorus specifically I'm not ready to make nice. I'm not ready to back down. I'm still mad as hell and I don't have time to go round and round and around. Just the strength that really kind of, the idea of it. I mean, and that song specifically, even before I knew kind of the story behind it, always kind of impacted me a little bit greater than some of their other songs. And the reason for that is a very specific part towards the end of the song. It is kind of the emotional climax of the song, really. And that specific part is what includes a riffed version of a death threat that Natalie Maines received after her comments about George W. Bush, which is discussed in their docu-film, the docu-film that came out about them called "Shut Up and Sing," which is a comment that they got a lot, that the band got a lot in general after those remarks were made. And the specific portion of "Not Ready to Make Nice" is, I made my bed and I sleep like a baby with no regrets, and I don't mind saying it's a sad, sad story about a mother who'll teach her daughter that she ought to hate a perfect stranger. Now how in the world can the words that I say send somebody so over the edge that they'd write me a letter saying that I better shut up and sing or my life will be over? So that specific end part right there is a comment that the band got quite often after Natalie Maines literally said that all she said was that she was ashamed that the President of the United States is from Texas. And she got death threats saying that if she didn't shut up and sing, she would be shot. For what? Exercising her First Amendment right? Yeah, it is absolutely as stupid and ridiculous as it sounds. She was threatened by a bunch of people who are staunch supporters of all the amendments by saying that just because she exercised her First Amendment right to speak on an issue that she was against in an industry that is known for being extremely concentrated with hyper patriotic nationalistic people who have their heads shoved so far up the flag's ass they're choking on the colors, that they were gonna kill her for saying what she wanted, which is kind of the point of the First Amendment in the first place. In fact, that's what it's for. That's the Free Speech Amendment. Let you marinate in that for a while, because it's the very idea that she was attacked, the Dixie Chicks were essentially unceremoniously ousted from major country music events. In fact, the first time they had been invited to the CMAs in years, since 2004, was when Beyonce brought them back in 2017 to perform with her. That was the first time they'd been there since 2004. Think about that. That is 13 years. They were not invited to a single CMA Awards until Beyonce brought them there to perform Daddy Lessons. That's it. And if that doesn't say a hell of a lot about what the country music establishment thinks, well, I don't know what the hell else to tell you. Well, now that I've covered that, I'm going to go a little bit into their new album. the Dixie Chicks for a while did actually split up as a band. They went off and did their separate things, though they did reunite a couple years ago. I think it's been about 5-ish years now since they reunited. And they are in their new album, Gaslighter, actually comes out on July 17th, 2020. Though there is a little bit of interesting controversy now with everything that's happening in the wake of the deaths of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and all the other unarmed, sleeping, or otherwise minding their own damn business Black folks that have been murdered by police indiscriminately across the country and across the world. In light of this, there's a lot of country music groups who are just now starting to reevaluate their approach, such as Lady Antebellum changing their name to Lady A, while also stealing the title and the name Lady A from a Black woman who has been performing under that moniker for 20 years. Jesus Christ, get it together, Lady Antebellum. Good God. Little Big Town is better anyway. However, there is a lot of call for the Dixie Chicks to change their name. Because the use of Dixie itself does have negative connotations in regards to the slaveholding South. And my question is, will they do it before the album comes out? Because they have the time. But do they have the resources to do so? I'm not sure, simply because of what has happened to them, to the band, and the band's history. However, this new album, Gaslighter, there's only two songs that have been released from the album so far, and those are the two singles, the title song from the album, Gaslighter, and then the song Juliana Calm Down, which every time I listen to it, reminds me of a dear friend of mine whose name also just so happens to be Juliana. But both are incredible, and Gaslighter, I think, really does speak to the experience that Natalie Maines and the band had in regards to that incident. Because it's just how, when I listen to it and I think about the band's history, the first thing that comes to mind is this is them trying to reclaim what they lost when they were kind of booted from country music, really. Especially when Natalie was made to apologize just for speaking her mind. And I mean, you can kind of hear that. If you know the context and the story behind the band, you hear that, like, just on the outset of the song, just because it starts with the chorus, which is, gaslighter, denier, doing anything to get your ass farther. Gaslighter, big timer, repeating all of the mistakes of your father. So the song isn't written with the context of the band in mind, at least not on the outset. It's very metaphorical, but I feel like it is kind of Natalie's way and the band's way of kind of emotionally processing, hey, this was really messed up what they did to us. So I think that's really, really important. And the song Juliana Calm Down, I swear, if that doesn't become some sort of gay anthem, like, I don't know what just it's so fun. It's a fun song about being able to let go and to just breathe into a moment. And how to forgive yourself when you know you haven't done anything wrong, and how to process what happens when we have people who leave us, when we have a relationship that ends, and how to emotionally get through it. Because there's the pre-chorus I guess this is the time to remind you, sometimes what's going through your head is just a temporary situation, and light will soon be shed. It's the process of freeing yourself emotionally from this kind of cycle of whatever you're dealing with that you're trapped in. And I think that is something that is so important. That sense of detox, that sense of that emotional weight being lifted off of your shoulders is something that is really crucial and very important. So, Gaslighter. I have already pre-ordered it. I am very excited for when it finally comes out. Yeah. The Dixie Chicks. Let's get into final thoughts. The Dixie Chicks have had a very long and difficult journey in the music industry. On top of being a group that is 3 women in country music at a time when country music was and still continues to be extremely male-dominated and hyper-patriotic, just now kind of drifting away from the idea of country music as a men's-only sport or a whites-only sport, because that demographic and the look of country music has always also tended to be overwhelmingly Caucasian. You have people like the Dixie Chicks who were kind of breaking barriers as a trio of women who were making this style of music, but who are also outside of the norm politically in regards to country music. And that has kind of paved the way for younger women coming up in country music, people like Casey Musgraves, and now kind of overwhelmingly that kind of all accumulates in our Lord and Savior Lil Nas X, a black gay kid whose first single was a country rap song that was unceremoniously pulled from the top 100 country charts by Billboard out because of backlash from white, racist, homophobic country fans. Some of y'all need to get it together, obviously, because it was Old Town Road was a country song. The Billy Ray Cyrus remix did not even make the top 100 country charts. And that should tell you that country music as a whole needs to kind of reevaluate exactly where it stands on society, modern society, everything. Yeah, everything. The country music fan base, especially the older country music fan base, need a little bit of a reality check, because I don't want to hear a song about a man having sex with his truck. I want to hear something that's like Before He Cheats, where a woman catches her man cheating and then destroys his car with a baseball bat and then cuts up the seats, or a dude singing about his horses, or sandwiches, or just joy, unapologetic joy. And that is what I think country music tends to miss, especially in certain mainstream country circles, because you do have kind of country adjacent people like Mr. Willie Nelson. God bless that old high as hell hippie man. But the Dixie Chicks were revolutionaries in the fact that Natalie Maines was entirely unafraid to say that, but then she was largely threatened, gaslit, and then the band was unceremoniously essentially booted from all country music circles, and that was not right by any means. And I think that is something that country music as a whole needs to and has yet to apologize to the Dixie Chicks, and specifically to Natalie Maines for, which is very unfortunate, because she deserves an apology. And that's why I think Not Ready to Make Nice is such a powerful song, and why I think Gaslighter is going to be such an important album, because I feel like it's coming to terms and processing those feelings of that very tumultuous time in their career as a band and as 3 young women who were starting this band. So that wraps up our market music video for today, and I will see everybody on Sunday for Serial Scrutiny. Bye.